What we're going to try and do is actually just get a single resolution that captures the resolution that we're going to make. I've also talked to Mary about the actual community board, you know, the boundaries and the grouping of the wards themselves, whether they're 2 or 3 wards to make up a community board area. And because there is still just a little bit more work to be done about how we best get those communities of interest combined for the community board areas, I'm going to propose that once we've resolved all of the other matters, we will then adjourn this meeting to a time to be chosen on Thursday as part of the council meeting where we will confirm it. That means that because we have to have 2 clear days for the meeting on Tuesday, the following Tuesday, to confirm our final position, all of the original decisions and the paper and everything will go online on the Wednesday night as per the requirements of the Act, but the maps will go up the following day. By close of play, and that way we'll be able to use that time to actually just sign off on the final detail, because it is difficult just getting the different wards to combine in a way that meets our requirements. So. If people are quite comfortable with that, I think that's probably the best way of handling it. So we'll adjourn the council meeting and re-establish this meeting at some point during the council meeting, just to confirm those final boundaries and to confirm the groupings of the different wards to make up the community board areas. All right. Right, so let's have a look at the resolution, the next resolution. So if we could have someone who will move that after considering submissions, Council confirms its initial proposal that for the 2016 local authority elections, the Christchurch City Council shall comprise 16 wards and reject the submissions for more or fewer wards. Would someone like to move that? Vicky, seconded Tim. Is there any discussion about that? Jamie?
Yeah, briefly. It probably doesn't require a whole lot, but I'm just going to justify my vote around this. I'll be voting against it. Rejecting the proposals around this, just because I don't believe that what we're coming up with now is fit for purpose, just based on the submissions that I've heard. So agreeing to bits afterwards is just muddling around the edges, in my view. So for that reason, I just think that it's a bit beyond repair, so I'll be voting against.
Ali?
I just wanted to reiterate my comments that I made before under ward numbers, particularly the comments made around smaller wards mean easier access to councillors and better representation. I mean, that assumes the number of issues are manageable, that there are support systems in place, which I've already mentioned. It also assumes the councillor is available and there 24/7, 365 days of the year, and so I won't be supporting the smaller ward sizes.
Okay.
I just think it's also important when we're voting that, in fact, issues in relation to the organisation in terms of support, that in fact, and as like councillors' workloads, that in fact they are not counted at all by the Commission. So we have to be clear on that when we're voting.
Yanni?
Yeah, just quickly. I think the ward number is really a product of the number of councillors. So I personally don't see that, having voted for the 16 councillors, my preference was for a greater number of councillors to balance the deviation with the peninsula, and have maybe 17 in the city. But given that we've already made the decision about the number of councillors, I don't think it's actually productive to increase. There's no actual way to increase the number of wards. So even if you wanted to do that, you actually can't now, because So I'll vote for retaining the 16 wards rather than amending it, not because I necessarily agree with it, just because basically logically, given we've already had the vote on the number of councillors, I think this is the most sensible approach.
Yeah, I think that's right. All right. I'll, okay, well, if we could have the thing up for those that...
Can you just reiterate the resolution?
The resolution is that after considering submissions, Council confirms its initial proposal that for the 2016 local authority elections, the Christchurch City Council shall comprise 16 wards and reject the submissions for more or fewer wards. I actually totally agree with what Yanni just said. He's absolutely right. We've voted for 16 councillors. It seems to me that you can't vote for fewer or more wards at this stage without disrupting the decision that's already been made. So it's...
16 single ward councillors.
Yeah.
Yeah, hence why I'm voting no.
Yeah. Oh.
When it comes to council, we'll only have one.
No, it's that after we're rejecting submissions for more or fewer wards than the 16. Yeah. So we're confirming our original proposal that there be 16 wards. We've already voted to have 16 councillors and we've voted to have 1 councillor per ward. I can't see any other solution, but, you know...
On Wednesday it won't be this messy. There'll be one resolution that covers
Yeah.
it all.
But yeah, on Thursday we'll be fine. We'll on Tuesday next week we'll be fine because we'll have one resolution that will be put to the meeting and that will be it. Yeah. All right. Have we got an answer? Who are we waiting for? That's carried. Right. So the next one is H. This is a much better way of doing it. And the council agree that the map tabled at the hearings on November 9 November shows the final arrangements for ward boundaries to be included. Well, I thought we were going to...
But it does.
Oh, I see, right. The council agree that the map table at the hearings meeting on November 9 shows the final arrangements for ward boundaries to be included in the council's final proposal, with the provision for small adjustments to be made to specific mesh block numbers to comply with, that should say, comply with the Local Electoral Act, Section 19V2. Further, that the final proposal will be contained in the report presented at the council decision meeting.
Yeah.
Scheduled for 17 November 2015, but that allows for some sort of specific tweaking at the boundaries. So, is there any? Someone move that. Phil will move that, and it's seconded by Pauline. Is there any discussion? I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. Oh, okay, we'll have a vote, electronic vote. That's carried. And so the next one is the community board clusters, which I'm proposing that we deal with on Thursday.
No, it's the one in green with the 4 options.
What page is it?
It's up on the screen.
38. Okay. So yeah, so yep.
Oh, we kind of semi-discussed a separate community board for Central, but with the different boundary, I would no longer really support that now. I think it'd be better joined up with Linwood or something.
Yeah, well, there are 4 options here, and there were 3 options in front of you, and we've got another option as well, which combines Central with Linwood. And I mean, I'm just wondering whether can we defer this one till Thursday?
We'll have to make some other, it'll be good for some other decisions.
Yeah.
The around community boards, which will be, which we can quickly do.
Okay, so Mary's going to look at the other resolutions that we need to carry, because I think that for 2-member, I mean, yeah, I mean, because the proposal is how many representatives from, we need to make the decision as to whether we vote for them at large or whether we vote for them in their individual ward components. So do you have, in the 3 community board areas, if that was decided, do you have 2 per grouping, 2 per ward? In the 2 ones, do you have 3 per ward? And we've got a proposal around the Banks Peninsula one as well. So,
just seems to me that on the numbers alone, for example, if Banks Peninsula is a separate ward, and then there are 7 other wards, that on that ratio, 3 wards would still have to be combined, so as to 1 community board.
yeah. But that can be done with 1 combining, Fendleton, Harewood, Maclean's, and it can be done with 2 having 3. So, I mean, there are different ways of doing it. So I'd much rather that we had the discussion on Thursday, but that we got to a position where we were quite comfortable with what those groupings would look like for the community board areas. I mean, I don't think we're far off finding a solution to it. I just don't think that it's probably, I don't know that these are all the right options.
Can we perhaps email through some different options to Jenny in the meantime? Is that an idea? It's just, I've just got a couple of little tweaks.
I've got something here that I've worked out after some conversation with
yeah.
people in break that I think might work.
Yeah. What's your proposal?
Okay, so what I've got here is Banks Peninsula with the 4 subdivisions as we discussed the other day, Linwood Central, Cashmere Woolston, Spraydon Hallswell, Riccarton Hornby, Fendleton Harewood Maclean's, Marshlands Papanui and Burwood Coastal. So that's 8 boards in total, with just 1 of them with 3. And it links Linwood with Central because Central is now coming further east, and it keeps the Port Hills together with Cashmere and Woolston, which means all of those rockfall issues, land movement issues, Port Hills issues are kept together. Riccarton Hornby, having spoken to Jimmy, I think that's what he would agree with. And Pauline certainly was in support of Marshlands Papanui. So that's where we'd ended up after some discussions in the break. So I can give that to Mary. And so to go through...
It's like option 4, but it's got, if you look up there on the screen, it just needs, option 4 just needs some tweaking. So you need to shift Hornby to Riccarton and Spraydon to Hallswell, was it?
Yeah, so it was Banks Peninsula, Linwood Central, Cashmere Woolston, Spraydon Hallswell, Riccarton Hornby.
Wait. Spraydon Hallswell.
Riccarton Hornby. Fendleton Harewood Maclean's.
But that's already there, so don't write it again.
Marshlands Papanui.
That's there.
And Burwood Coastal.
Yeah, that's there as well. So take out Hallswell, Hornby and... So is that right? Banks Peninsula, Linwood Central, Woolston Cashmere, Spraydon Hallswell, Riccarton Hornby, Burwood Coastal, Papanui Marshland, Fendleton, Harewood Maclean's.
Could I just... it seems really logical with the argument with regards to keeping the hills issues together, but at the moment, Hallswell and Cashmere, if you want to use those words, have corresponding issues with regards to Henderson's Basin, that the flooding in there absolutely affects both. Also the traffic issues with Cashmere Road going in across both wards, etc. So there is also an argument that, say, Hallswell, the Cashmere should be connected, but yeah, that's just another angle.
The other part of that is that nobody in Hallswell said they wanted to go.
Absolutely, I realise that. I'm just bringing it up.
So on that basis, could
were they happy with Spraydon?
Well, could Spraydon take and Woolston instead? So in fact, that last list, you swap Woolston from being combined with Cashmere, and vice versa. So you'd have Cashmere, Cashmere, Hallswell.
You can't divide the whole Sumner area from the Cashmere Hills. I mean, why would you do that?
Oh, that's a good point.
I think Andrew's
They all go together.
Yeah.
But the other option.
Some did.
Or Cashmere.
Yes, I remember.
The other option is
I thought the ball was so good. And they were right.
Hallswell really goes with Riccarton and Hornby, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. Andrew's suggestion is probably most logical. At the Residents Association meeting the other night, they were very pleased to stay where they were. This morning.
Yes, they were.
They actually made a point of saying that it was.
That was it.
Which is probably going to be more economical. Not that that's part of our decision making, I don't think.
Yeah, but we don't. I mean, this is always the issue. So, what are the resolutions that we need to pass? We need to decide whether we agree that the community board members should be elected from. I mean, the Banks Peninsula one we know that's the 4 areas, right? So so the question is that with the other ones, if they are made of 2, do we have 3 from each ward? And if they're made of 3, do we have 2 from each ward? Yeah, the number of community board members. So that way there would be 6 community board members with each community board. Does anyone think that they should be elected at large across the community board? If there's 3 wards combined to make 1 community board, then it's 2 from each ward is elected to the community board. And if there's 2, then there's 3 from each ward. So there's 6 members of each community board.
That goes against the whole concept of equal representation for it. So if he knows that argument,
Well, no.
the whole point is being about individual representation at the ward level. You have to have the same number of community board members per ward.
Yeah, that's 6 per ward.
So
I see.
So you have 2, yeah.
But your community board...
You're only allowing 2 people per that ward, whereas your next door ward can have 3.
You've got to have the same number per ward.
You've got to have the same number per ward. It just means that if you've got a 3-paired ward, you'll have 9.
Does it?
I mean, to me, I would have Central as a separate community board.
Yeah, according to Mary's providing me with advice in my ear as you talk. So she's saying that the law requires it to be equal within the community board area, but not between community boards.
That's if you take an at-large point of view, which I'm completely fine with, but that's not the view that we're taking within the board area. We're going down to that single point of the ward and saying the ward has to be the representative point for councils and community boards. You can't have some wards with 2 and some with 3.
Well, except that they sit on a community board that's made up of...
Doesn't matter because you're
saying if there are 3, then they should have 9 members.
Or you go to, or
Are you saying that the law says that we must have the same number of community board members per ward, or
within the community board boundary?
Yes, yeah.
So only for divisions. So it's divisions within the community board. So it is perfectly legitimate and legal for us to do that, but council can make an alternative decision.
But what you're ending up with here is one community board with 60,000 odd people and the rest with 40,000, so it doesn't make any sense. I mean, the way around that is to have, say, well, we've got Banks Peninsula on its own, is to have, say, Central on its own as a community board, and then have double ups for all the other ones. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
I quite like the idea of having Central on its own and then having 2 per.
Yeah. That's the only way it would work. Otherwise, it's.
But then you get one with 22,000 and one with.
Yeah, but Banks Peninsula's only got 9.
There's a rationale for these ones.
One councillor and how many community board members?
Sorry?
8. 8. So 8 community board members from a population of 8,000 and one councillor. Right, okay, but if you come from one of these ones where you've got, say, Hornby, where you've got 25,000, you get one councillor and 2 community board members under that.
Yes. So each one 8,000.
We need to accept that the issues on the peninsula are quite different, though. I mean, we had the Rod Donald Trust submission where they put 35 cashmeres into the land mass of Banks Peninsula, and I think it needs to be understood that the work of the community board isn't just about people, it's also about environment.
It's called country voting.
Yeah, but it's only for themselves. It's for. They only get to determine the issues on the Banks Peninsula.
But it is a bit odd, isn't it, that 8,000 people will elect 9 representatives?
Yeah, we've already been through this, and I mean, this was always going to be, you know, as I say, it was the driver of the representation review changes. We've listened to the submissions, and you know, the majority of us have decided that we will have a separate ward for Banks Peninsula. So,
If we went separate for Central, how many community board members would there be on that? On one ward?
It's up to you.
Because that would take us to the same argument potentially, which we don't think we could justify it.
So 23,000 people get 7 people.
no,
With
4.
20,000?
Well, no, for Central.
Yeah, we could set 4. You know, for what would be an appropriate number for
Can't go
the.
less than 4.
You can't go less than 4. So it seems. I mean, look, the central submitters were very keen on having their own community board, and I know that, and the thing is that it's going to go through a lot of very challenging issues over the next wee while, and I suspect its numbers are going to throw everything out the next time that we do the representation review. If we get our ambition of increased people living in the central city, I think we're going to end up having to move all the boundaries again anyway.
So can we do a model with Central on its own then, and then how we would work the community boards with?
Do you want to go back to option 1, is it?
Yeah, but then we have to tweak that.
So you currently don't have a lot of population there.
But then you'd
Like,
actually
yeah.
you'd divide that one.
So you'd have to have 4. So therefore, say it was 20,000. You've got a community board member voting for 5,000 per one community board member, versus the other wards in the city having 2. So it's almost double, 10,000. So it does seem quite hard. I mean, we also heard that the people in New Brighton or in Burwood wanted their own board as well.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
So what if we went for option 1, but we didn't have any with 3? There was an extra
Yeah, they
board.
just wanted more community board
Oh, that
members.
makes an yeah. And also it would make 9, wouldn't it?
I mean, this is why I don't want to have this debate now. So, because everyone's going to have a different view of what works, and the proposal was put up that we look at whether this option would work. So, and maybe I should have just said no. I'll stick to what I was going to do anyway.
So these are possibly some agreements that decisions we can make today.
All right, so here's one recommendation, that after considering submissions, the council agrees to amend the initial proposal to form a single community board for Banks Peninsula. Yes, so so can I put that, oh no, can someone move that? Phil? Andrew? Yep. Okay, that after considering submissions, the council, so move the S from council and put it at the end of submissions. Yep. Yeah, right. So I will put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. Oh, okay, right, we'll have a vote on that. So you want separate community boards on the peninsula. Right.
I'd be interested in what people are proposing if it's not a single community
board.
No,
let's just have the vote.
Okay.
So, that after considering submissions, the council agrees to amend the initial proposal to form a single community board for Banks Peninsula. Currently has 2. We're proposing it has 1. Jimmy, have you voted? David? Yeah. Right, so that's carried. And the second one is that after considering submissions, council confirms its initial proposal that for the 2016 local authority elections, community board members, so take off the S, will be elected by the electors of subdivisions. Shall we put comprised of wards?
Subdivisions which will mirror the ward boundaries.
Which will mirror the ward boundaries.
Well, it's the other way around. It's wards comprised of subdivisions. How can you have a subdivision that's comprised?
No, it's only community boards that have subdivisions.
Yeah, will be elected by the electors of subdivisions. Put in brackets. Which will be consistent with ward boundaries.
Is that the case now? So does that mean that if you've got a community board that has 3 wards,
delete it.
They'll only have 2 each.
No. We'll correct it on. We'll get the right resolution.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, we don't need to write in wards because we're saying that they're going to be electors of subdivisions, not electors of the community as a whole. Would someone like to move that? Because we can deal with Banks Peninsula separately. Andrew, seconded Phil. Can you put up the...
And the legislation asks you to have them similar and explain if you're not having them similar. So it's sort of a given. It'll be similar. Yeah, don't have to explain why not. Yep. Okay,
so... So if we're going to confirm our initial proposal that for the next election we'll do this, right? So those in favour mark yes, those opposed mark no. And that's carried. So the next...
It's just that since you've made the decision around Banks Peninsula Ward, you actually have to note that it's not within the fair representation, and this is just explaining why you've made that decision.
But that's not a motion, that's that the council notes.
So in fact we're clear on that.
So the motion is you noted in the recommendations that you consider that it was. Or you could just take out that first part.
Yeah. Or put no, just go noting that, and then delete up to the. Just delete the next three words, yep. Noting that, and then put a comma at the end and go council. So take out the word that. Just take out the word that. Council, yeah. Council considers that, noting that council considers that warrants being considered as. Council considers that the bank's warrants being considered, yeah, as an isolated community under section for the following reasons: support and submissions and to avoid. Yep, okay, so these are all the reasons that go in the submission to the local government commission and to support the decision that we've made. Can you put a capital letter on Hills down the bottom there? Port Hills, yep, and just go up again. Yep. All right, so can you put up a voting, oh, sorry, Andrew can move that, Phil seconded. So if you could put up the, this is the justification for the Banks Peninsula Ward decision that we've already taken. Three more pending. Yeah, we've already made the decision to have Banks Peninsula separate. This is why. This is the. Yeah, that's it. Everyone.
So there's nothing else we can make today, is there?
Very good. Thank you.
Well, we can just deal with the rest
on Thursday or I think that we've made
anything that we think you've missed.
I think we've covered everything off, so that we've covered off the boundaries. Names. Names. The issue around names.
Well,
so we, when we come back, when you talk to Jenny this week, can you suggest names as well?
Yeah, a very strong message that came through the submissions, and I just want people to take this on board, was that they were looking for names that didn't exclude parts of the ward. So by including only one part of the ward, that it didn't really speak to the whole area. It wasn't an inclusive name. So the names that people really liked were Central and Coastal, and the reason they liked them was because they weren't exclusive. They were very inclusive names and very descriptive. So if you could give some thought to that. So Banks Peninsula is okay? Banks Peninsula is fine. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
FG.
Fast forward, the fast forward ward. The yeah. Greenfields ward. Yeah, I mean seriously, just give some thought to even some more generic names for bigger groupings of areas would be quite good. What?
One submission we received about deferring that we've got no provision for all the.
Some Māori names
right.
are good too, especially.
Okay, so there's a K resolution. Defer. There was a submission asking us to defer the representation review, which is there was more than one submission that said that, but we cannot do that. And we have highlighted the fact that the status quo would not provide fair representation for residents in these high growth areas like Hallswell. So although, you know, as you know, I've got some sympathy for this, it's not something that we can legally do. So would someone like to move that we reject this submission?
Probably both of them at the same time.
Reject them both. Yanni, seconded Tim. I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. No. That's carried. Jamie opposed. Right. Is there anything else? No? And are there any of these that we've done them all? Okay. All right. So I'll now adjourn this meeting until Thursday, a time to be notified. Do I have to adjourn it to a particular time? I do. Why don't I... I'm not going to make it.
No, you won't go.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you will, Sylvia. So adjourn it to 11:30 or something.
I've got to...
Yeah, you will make it.
I may not be back by then.
Okay, well, 12:30.
Okay, I'll adjourn it till... oh, well, no, there might be something happening on Thursday. Something good. So... No. Okay? Why don't I adjourn it till... why don't I adjourn it till 8:30 on Thursday morning, and we'll do it straight up before the council meeting starts. Yeah. Yep. Okay, I'll adjourn it till 8:30, and it should only take half an hour, because then I can tell the community board members to meet us at 9 o'clock, if that's all right. So it's adjourned till 8:30 on Thursday. Thank you very much. And thanks very much for, I think it's been a good quality debate, and you know, it's hugely challenging doing a representation review with everything else on our plates, but I think everyone's participated really well, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you very much, and I'll see you all before, but I'll see you on Thursday for this continuation.